Hey everybody, today we finally concluded our Batman marathon. Today we watched Batman vs. Superman.
Boys, Bruce Wayne meets Clark Kent. I love it. I love bringing people together. How are we?
Lex?
Hi, hello. Lex, it is a pleasure. Ow, wow, that is a good grip. You should not pick a fight with this person.
So Aidan, what is the plot of Batman vs. Superman?
Batman's ass mad at Superman, Superman's ass mad at Batman, Lex Luthor hates God. Everyone fights, Batman and Superman decide they don't want to fight. And then a giant mud troll pops out of the ground and starts attacking the city and Superman dies. Connor, what'd you think of Batman vs. Superman?
I thought it was pretty bad. I've now seen this movie 3 times, which is far more than this movie deserves to be watched. I guess let's start with our characters. Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne is pretty shit. He kind of just is angry.
He doesn't get a lot of time to develop because he was never in the DCU before this movie.
No, I mean this whole movie is, the first 2 hours of this movie is basically trying to develop Batman, but Batman's whole development in this movie is, I'm mad at Superman because he can't be trusted. And then Batman gets very angry at Superman because he falls asleep.
It's a crossover movie where one of the characters in the crossover has not been introduced to the audience.
Yes, but we know him from other movies, so I guess that's okay, even though this is a dramatically different version. But as I was trying to say, Batman's mad at Superman because he falls asleep, and in his dream he has a dream where Darkseid has come to Earth, even though Batman has no idea what Darkseid is. And Darkseid's goons are taking over the world, his little bug creatures. And then Superman has an army of people and becomes like a totalitarian man. And then he's mad because Lois Lane dies. So he kills Batman, and then Batman wakes up in a cold sweat and looks over, and Flash is time traveling, another character, Flash, who is never met and has no idea who it is.
Yep.
But Flash runs back and says Lois Lane is the key to everything, which was already established in the last scene. A weird vision he had. I don't know if Batman has future vision for some reason, or whatever. But he meets the Flash for like 2 seconds and he says, Lois is the key to everything. And then Batman wakes up again and decides, wow, that was crazy. I just had a dream in a dream. Both which have elements that he doesn't know are real, but the audience knows is real, so I don't really know what they were going for on that. Because Flash can actually time travel, so why the Flash part was a dream? Why the Flash part was a dream? Or even the first dream doesn't really make sense.
Was it the Flash went back in time and implanted those things in Batman's head as a dream? Or did Batman...
How could he possibly do
Batman
that?
dreamed up everything, somehow. He dreamed up that first part, then he woke up, then Barry Allen came back in time, and then Batman fell back asleep and then woke back up and thought Barry Allen was a dream.
I don't know. How it's cut, it looks like it's a dream within a dream about things that he shouldn't know exists. So I guess Batman's a psychic. But because of Batman's psychic visions, or dreams or whatever, he thinks he wrongly thinks Superman's a threat. And I guess these events are supposed to set up future Justice League movies, or maybe not. But Darkseid was supposed to be the villain, so maybe. I don't know, man. I don't know. Does Batman somehow have like future sights to possible futures? I think this might have been something they would explain in the Flash movie, maybe, originally when it was supposed to come out 700 years ago. But I don't know. So Batman wakes up, and he is mad at Superman for the rest of the movie. His Batman is edgy, and he kind of just runs around like branding people and beating people down and trying to kill Superman for no reason and blowing people up with missiles and shit. I guess I will say the Batman fight scenes where he fights generic crooks are kind of cool because it's kind of like the Arkham games put on screen.
You can
But if you count the 2-minute action sequences of Batman fighting nameless goons as a good thing, then I guess there's your good thing about the film.
You can kind of look the other way about most of the deaths he causes, like when he rams into people's cars with his heavily armored rocket-powered Batmobile, and be like, oh, maybe they survived, but then there's that part where he just blows a dude up.
Well, I wouldn't even say
That
the car
flamethrower
thing
dude
is
got
fine,
fucking
'cause
annihilated.
he like calculated at one point that if he hit this one car a certain way, it would go and just crush another car. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Like flipped over and terminated both of them,
Okay,
causing
but
like horribly deadly car crashes.
they maybe could have survived that, unlike the flamethrower guy who just blows the fuck up.
He also starts branding people for some reason, which I don't really understand why.
And then for some reason, other prisoners kill prisoners that have been branded by Batman
Yes.
for no reason. Even though they have no reason to.
Why? Yeah, I don't know. Like they hate Batman and they think like he's a Batman snitch, maybe, which doesn't really make sense. I don't know. Doesn't make sense. It's pretty not Batman. And then we have Superman. Clark Kent is pretty much
Jesus.
a blank slate who shoots off exposition, but Superman is just space Jesus the whole time. And he has all these moments where it's like his existential crises, where he's like, they think I'm Jesus, but can I live up to being Jesus?
The Jesus imagery is not subtle in the fucking slightest.
And he's
ever.
like, I'm wondering how I can live up to that image or whatever he's wondering. But nothing really happens in regards. It's just an excuse for Zack Snyder to squeeze a half hour of Superman as Jesus metaphors in the movie. It's all for the metaphor. And then, of course, that goes into our next character, Jesse Eisenberg, who is the most nonsensical villain in movies. I think they were trying to play him off to be the Joker from The Dark Knight, which was a stupid idea. First off, he says these grand things like the Joker does, but where the Joker, it's edgy, but kind of like cool and makes a level of sense, especially with the film's logic. This just makes him look like he's mentally retarded. Yeah. And he's like, I got beaten by daddy. And like he says all this shit.
I got beaten by daddy and God didn't save me and Superman is God, so I'm gonna kill Superman.
I think he wanted the beaten by daddy thing to be like his Joker scars moment. And there's like the Aunt Janine's lemonade or whatever.
Oh yeah, he pee-pees in the jar.
Yeah, he pee-pees in the jar.
And he sucks on the Jolly Ranchers and he talks like a weird autist all the time and says that thing where he sees like some painting of angels and devils fighting and he's like, that picture's upside down because
Superman comes from space.
Devils come from the sky.
He doesn't...
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And then at first you think his motivation for wanting to kill Superman is so that he doesn't believe, like, he can't comprehend godly power, like he thinks people with power have to earn it or something. I mean, it's hard to pull that message, but that's kind of what you assume watching it until he releases Doomsday, who's a mindless evil god monster, and then you start to question what his motivation was the whole time. Is he just supposed to be like an anarchy Joker type character? Because that's kind of out of character from what we'd seen so far. I didn't fully understand what his character was meant to be because he just said stupid fucking shit the whole movie and made no sense. But he certainly was the worst character adaptation Zack Snyder had done. Yeah. Wonder Woman.
I don't know why she's in this movie.
She's in the movie to introduce her. It's the old Marvel Cinematic Universe cameo, but her role is inflated to the point where I would consider her an important character, despite her presence being unimportant.
She's far too important to the DC universe to be like this shitty cameo thing, but also she's not important enough in this movie for her to be shoved in it constantly.
Well, she's even too important to the movie. She gets shoved into the final climax. She gets shoved in throughout this movie. She has like a half hour of screen time, but nothing to do. No real motivation no thought was put into putting her in this movie besides they wanted to put her in the movie.
Batman's met her like twice, and Superman has never met her.
Right.
And it's just like,
She
and
shows
she's
up
just
in the final
there,
fight.
and she's always in the movie.
Right.
She shows up in the final fight. The audience hasn't been introduced to her, and it's just like, what the fuck?
Right.
We haven't been introduced to Batman. We haven't been introduced to Lex. We haven't been introduced to Wonder Woman. And then Doomsday shows up, and he's just a giant brainless monster thing.
Half the time I'm sitting here questioning what they're really ass mad about at each other, Batman and Superman. Because
Nothing.
Batman brands people, so Superman's mad about that and doesn't want him to be a crime fighter. Which I guess is motivation enough for them to fight, even though that's not very necessary. Like, I think Batman branded people so that they would get killed for the sole reason that Superman would have the reason to be mad at him. But since Superman, other than saying, hey, I don't want you to be a crime fighter anymore, at one point has, like, no motivation to be mad at Batman. And even though it's contrived, Batman's motivation for attacking Superman based on the deranged psychopath of a Batman we have in this movie, it actually makes sense why he would want to attack Superman from the stupid fucking logic that this Batman has.
Kinda, yeah.
But it still just comes off as stupid. And then, of course, there's the famous Martha scene, which I'm not going to get into, but
Yeah.
Batman basically immediately flips and is like, oh, actually, me and Superman are friends.
We got a lot in common.
Why wouldn't it be like he tries to fight Superman, Superman bests him, and then Doomsday comes, they both fight Doomsday, and Batman comes to the realization that they are not too different or some shit. And just call it good. Or Superman dies a hero and Batman realizes he's not really a threat. Why would you add the added Martha thing? Because that's just fucking stupid. But regardless, it's just a lot of unnecessary shit that Zack Snyder thought would be cool for in the moment that he just piles onto this fucking movie because it's just a clusterfuck of horrible ideas put into a movie, basically.
Yes, a very long clusterfuck.
Yeah, I mean, if I have to give it props for anything other than the Batman fight scenes, I will say, well, it's not a very good looking movie. It's definitely better looking than Man of Steel and Watchmen and 300.
It's fine
I
looking
give it
until
that.
Doomsday shows up, and then it becomes horrible looking.
Right.
Once Doomsday shows
Right.
up and they had to do everything in CG, it looks like a goddamn...
I'm mostly
It looks like
referring
the
to
fucking-
actual shot composition and stuff. I was gonna get to the CG, which
looks
does
like
look fucking
It
horrible.
looks like the fucking 2007 CG Ninja Turtles movie for the last, like, third of it. Where it's
Right.
so fucking bad.
Yeah, he looks like the ice troll from Hobbit.
There's
kind
like,
of.
there's that one scene where Batman, like, hook shots onto a wall and he hangs there and then he hook shots off another while the laser's coming. And it literally looks like a fucking cartoon.
No,
It
the
is so
CG has
bad.
traditionally looked horrible in DC films, at least like the recent ones. DCEU films, especially hilarious because they rely so heavily upon it, but I digress on that. Most of the characters are written like shit, as I said, but I would say Jesse Eisenberg stands out as being perhaps the shittiest villain in cinema history, at least if we're going by cringe count and motivation and dialogue and everything, pretty much. He's fucking horrible. So, to all you people who give BVS 5 stars, you know, maybe you should deduct a couple of those stars for the fact that your villain is fucking horrible. Your characters are deranged, egotistical psychopaths, but
There's no point trying to appeal to people
nothing
who like
makes sense
Batman
in this
versus
damn
Superman.
movie.
Snyder fans are like the cultiest fucking group of people on the internet, and I don't understand for the life of me why.
I
Like,
don't
do
even
they mistake his movies for being deep because he shoves half-assed Jesus metaphors in all of them
Dude, I want to shoot a Captain America
and makes
movie,
them edgy?
and so I can just make the last hour of it about how he is him fighting, but the first 2 hours, because I'm gonna make it a 3-hour opus of Captain America. The first 2 hours is about him like questioning his patriotism or something. Maybe he like sees the wall being built, Donald Trump's wall, and he gets sad about it, and then he gets angry, and then he starts killing people
I think he should lose
on the
his
Mexican border.
He should lose his faith in God and then become
Oh, that's a good idea.
peaceful Muslim.
Oh, that's a good idea. He denounces being Captain America. He could do Nomad from the comics because even though this is a deep movie, you still gotta toss as much garbage from the DC wiki as possible into your movie. I think Zack Snyder just clicked random articles 6 times on the DC wiki and threw what he found into his fucking movie.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
just
Cyborg.
Yeah. That was Jeff Johns. Jeff Johns is like, hey guys, Cyborg is seriously a great character. It's like, well, Jeff Johns, you've been a shitty writer since 1998, so fuck you.
At least the
Anyway.
genius writer behind this movie's still getting work on the Star Wars franchise.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, you know, Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is just as incoherent, but at least it's slightly better than Batman vs. Superman. I'd say
Maybe a
so.
little.
Maybe it bastardizes. I would say it bastardizes the franchise slightly less than Batman vs Superman.
Yeah,
At least Rey doesn't become an egotistical psychopath. She's just an egotistical retard.
Well, she was always an egotistical psychopath, but that wasn't his fault. He
Right.
just got it from someone else.
Right, he just had to take what he was given. Yeah. I mean, this movie is trash. It's really much. It's shit. I think the thing that makes like me appreciate Batman and Robin over this movie is, while you can shit on Batman and Robin for being fucking stupid, at least they knew what they wanted to do and they did it.
Yeah.
So even though a lot of the scenes are kind of like, why the fuck would they put this in here? It felt like someone had a vision, and their vision was to put this shit. That's why the fuck is it in here? And I don't think if you asked Joel Schumacher if he thought his movie was high art, he'd say that. But Zack Snyder wanted to look like such a great director. He was like, I'm going to take the superhero comic idea, the comic books, the silly funny pages, and I'm going to take everything that people like about every character in this movie, take a massive dump all over it, and then toss a bunch of religious symbolism so people think it's a good movie because they have 2 IQ
Yeah.
and don't understand.
I remember that one fucking interview with Zack Snyder's wife from before Man of Steel came out. She produced all these movies, where she talked about how retarded she thought superheroes were,
Right.
and how she was like, you can't do any of that retarded superhero shit. You got to make it a good movie.
And
Zack
yet
Snyder's like, okay, I'll make it a Jesus movie.
And yet 90% of both of their movies are superhero bastardizations of the source material superhero movies. I mean, at least 300 wasn't a great comic, but you also have... But Watchmen was actually a really good fucking comic, and then you have Zack Snyder coming out with the Mercfest piece of shit Watchmen movie. At least that one, he didn't try to bend the source material, he just did a really bad job adapting it.
Zack Snyder's
Made it look like doo-doo dog shit, but I don't think that was fully his fault.
Zack Snyder is a fucking brainlet who's whipped by his pseudo-intellectual Redditor wife.
Yeah.
His Rick and Morty wife.
Yeah, I like how they wrote the characters in this movie to be about as interesting as fucking a pile of 2x4s. That's
That was
pretty much
interesting.
what... Superman could have been a fucking green ping pong ball flying around that they've added in post, because they did not make Henry Cavill act in this movie. If you thought like Hayden Christensen was wooden, if you thought George Lucas couldn't direct dialogue, if you thought, well, okay, maybe he's better than Christopher Nolan, but at least Christopher Nolan can somewhat write characters far better than Zack Snyder. I don't think I've seen a more wooden performance than Henry Cavill in this movie.
Jesse Eisenberg wasn't wooden. He was
No.
just
Retarded.
horrible.
Dude, what the fuck are you doing? Are you like a fucking one-off Sonic the Hedgehog comic book character?
No.
Looking ass with your golden hair swinging out in the fucking
I'm a 90s.
backwards hat? Are you part of the Freedom Fighters? Are
I'm
you
a
gonna
ni-
fight Dr. Robotnik or
I'm a
something?
90s pizza mascot.
Dude, you look like fucking Chuck E. Cheese's son from the 90s. You know who you look like? You look like Max from the goddamn Goofy movie. I really have nothing to say. This movie's just trash. I mean, the fact that Zack Snyder had such a load of testicles on him to make an extended edition. And you know what I like? I like talking to Snyder defenders who say, okay, the theatrical Batman vs Superman was a mess, but if you watch the extended version, it's better.
I don't even know what this.
I couldn't tell you. Besides, like a couple scenes where you're like, "Oh, this scene was so pointless." I assume they added it in the extended cut.
Yeah.
And I've seen both versions. I saw the extent. In fairness, I did see the extended cut twice and the theatrical once. But I saw the extended cut closer to the theatrical cut than I saw this the last time I watched the extended cut. And the first time I watched the extended cut, I said, "What did they add?" I'm guessing they probably pumped the hour-long fight sequence at the end by... I'm guessing that was originally like 45 minutes, and then the rest is just 15 minutes of really boring shit that adds nothing to the movie. Because the movie's just as bad. And I hate with a passion when people say the extended edition is worth anything. If you want to watch the extra 30 minutes of bullshit this movie's spewing at you, right the fuck ahead, but it's definitely not my thing. That's about all I really have to say about this piece of shit movie. So, Aidan, what did you think of Batman vs Superman?
This is our second review of Batman vs Superman. We're re-reviewing. It's just as bad. Everything Connor said is valid. And the fact that it's followed up by Justice League, which was not out at the time of our first review, doesn't help. Because Justice League is even worse. In almost every way. The fact that they kill Superman, they tease him coming back at the end of the same movie. They couldn't even hold their boner in for literally less than 15 minutes. And then he comes back in the next damn movie. What was the point? There's no tension.
It's Jesus, dude. Jesus comes back. That's why.
I know.
But it also...
That's why, but it's too quick.
It's also the first...
At least wait until Justice League 2 when Darkseid actually shows up.
As I was reading a lot of people say in the 5-star letterbox reviews, the deepest superhero movie decided to do the cheesiest, cheapest comic book trope that you can possibly do, which is reincarnation. But I have...
What the fuck is deep about this movie?
There's nothing. I guess he wanted to do the reincarnation because of the Jesus metaphor.
It's a crappy... There's some crappy references to how God doesn't exist, which gets fedora tippers saying it's deep. But it's no deeper than fucking Mother, which was just a fucking reenactment of the Bible with a bunch of fucking screeching.
Dude, you know what this is? This is like...
This is Cape Shit Mother. Starring fucking Jennifer Lawrence.
I disagree. I disagree strongly. So you know how there's those religious movies for like Christians and shit? I think this is like one of those religious movies for the alien truthers, you know? Like I
Flat
bet you
earthers.
No, I'm not saying flat earthers necessarily, although I think there's a big overlap there. I'm talking about the people who are like, I don't believe in God, but I believe aliens came and
planted us here,
created the pyramids, but now that we're too smart to not, now that we're smart, they, when we were dumb, they could show up, and they wanted to experiment on us, but now that we're smart, they're, scared. They're scared of us now. They're scared. But I think the idea is that Zack Snyder's an alien truther, and that's what it is. I don't think Zack Snyder's religious. I think he believes in higher power than us. I think he believes that higher power comes from Krypton.
So it's like Passion of the Christ for retards.
It's like Passion of the Christ for retards. You're absolutely right. This movie is Passion of the Christ for utter fucking retards.
It really can't.
Because Superman dies at the end, you know? Justice League's like Passion of the Christ 2. For even bigger retards.
Yeah, the movie's terrible. Jesse Eisenberg is excessively bad in it. I can't overstate enough how much I hate him. I hate him pee-peeing in the jar. I hate him doing the Jolly Ranchers thing. I hate him stuttering and talking like a fucking retard.
I hate how he copies... He looks like a fucking improv comedy group trying to do like the Joker or something. He reminds me of the Joker baby, kind of.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like I think he was like they're like Zack Snyder's like, hey fucking Jesse, I need you to do the Heath Ledger. And Jesse's like, yeah, no problem, that was an iconic performance. Then he went into YouTube and accidentally clicked on the Joker baby.
And gambled with sharks! One day, I call the face. And we ain't got no money for surgeries.
I was like, wow, this is some good stuff here.
No,
And he studied the Joker baby over and over again for months.
He's more like the fucking, the weird fucking Joker cosplayer from California.
Stop drinking energy drinks. Hopefully my last day. Stop smoking cigarettes. And, kind of just ignore all of you. Find my happiness. Like, fine, whatever, you hate me. Nothing's gonna change, man. It's been a year.
Runs around like threatening to stab people.
Right. California. Santa Cruz Joker.
Santa Cruz Joker, yes, that man.
I think that's who it was.
Yeah, that is the Santa Cruz
Yeah,
Joker.
he is pretty
He kind
much.
of reminds me of that.
He's pretty much the Santa Cruz.
In fact, the Santa Cruz Joker would always go on weird atheism rants too.
Maybe you're right. Maybe you're onto something here. He's like, wow, I can't believe like Heath Ledger to this day still does in-character vlogs as the Joker. What luck do I have? And then he watches like hours of Santa Cruz Joker stuff.
Yeah, it's horrendous.
Can you see the board meeting where Warner Brothers is like, what's the idea for Lex Luthor? And he's like, sit down, because this is a good one. I'll picture this. He's a 20-something. He's like a social network. He runs the Facebook, and we get Jesse Eisenberg, and it's like he's running Facebook, but LexCorp is now like Facebook, right? And then he wears basketball shoes in his fancy tuxedos, because he's a millennial, and he's an atheist, and then otherwise he's Heath Ledger's Joker.
And it says here you
And
wanna. It says here you also wanna insert Wonder Woman in, and he's like, yeah, we found the perfect girl. She can't speak any English at all. She has no screen presence. She can't act.
Yeah, she has more screen presence than the other two
But-
in this movie, at least. Remember the cool Avengers action pose they did? Like, it's, Batman's awkwardly standing there because the suit's too bulky, trying to, like, bulk him up a lot, and it's a fucking 4 inches of hot rubber. His skin isn't breathing, and he's just sitting here like this.
And for the
He's
Flash,
sick.
we found a gay man who's violent against women.
Did you want to fight? Is that the deal?
Whoa, bro.
Fight? Did you want to fight? Is that the deal?
He wasn't violent against women till this year. But,
Well,
yeah.
now that he's washed up, he has nothing better to do than
Do you
beat
think
women
when
in the
he's
streets.
when he's writing Flashpoint, he's gonna write in a line? He's like, Barry Allen goes to the past, and the first thing he sees is a woman asking for his autograph, so he choke slams her. The Flash goes to the bathroom. Iris West's locked inside, telling him to go away, and he says, "I'm gonna kick this damn door down, bitch, if you don't let me in." He's smashing on the door.
Anyway, yeah, the movie's dog shit. Would you recommend it?
No.
It took a long time. to
I
do
would
that.
recommend you watch the clip of woman abuser Flash, man.
Well, I'll just edit it in so people. can
No,
see
but
it.
I'd still recommend they go and watch it.
Okay.
Show support, dude. Let's cancel fucking
Ezra Miller.
because he's a horrible Flash and he's a woman abuser. Not because I don't want to see the 2.5 hour. Well, fuck it. Even if they make the 2.5 hour long, the 2.5 hour long Sheldon Cooper as the domestic abusing Flash movie, I'm not gonna watch it. So, yeah. Aiden, would you recommend this movie?
No, and remember, release the Snyder Cut.
Release the Snyder Cut.
Did you want to fight? Is that the deal?
Anyway,
And then he's like, wait, this is actually good shit. Iris starts to cry in the corner. She's hiding in the bathtub trying to call the police, but for some reason they have a landline. And he cut the cords from the outside.